They run the biggest malls, control the largest banks, and own companies shaping the country's future, yet barely show their faces. One of them quietly built a $13 billion empire from a small shoe shop. And now they're richer than anyone else in the country. But here's what nobody talks about. How did a poor immigrant with nothing become the wealthiest family in an entire nation? And more importantly, what did it cost? Part 1. The immigrant who changed everything. Manila, 1936. A 2-year-old boy steps off a boat from China with his father. They have no money, no connections, and barely speak the language. His name is Henry Tsai. And right now, watching him sell rice, vegetables, and whatever he can find in a tiny market stall, you'd never guess that this kid would one day build the most powerful business empire the Philippines has ever seen. Henry's father opened a small store called Shoe Mart, literally just a shop selling shoes. Nothing fancy, no air conditioning, no credit cards, just shoes displayed on wooden shelves in downtown Manila. Young Henry worked there every day after school, learning the one lesson that would define his entire life. The customer always comes first. But then World War II hit. The Japanese occupied Manila. Bombs destroyed the shoe store. Everything the Tsai family had built gone. Most people would have given up. Henry didn't. After the war ended, he rebuilt. He went door to door, selling shoes on credit because people had no cash. He'd track payments in a notebook, trusting customers to pay him back over time. That trust? It paid off. By 1958, Shoe Mart had grown enough that Henry opened his first proper retail store. But he wasn't satisfied. He had a vision that nobody else could see. What if instead of just selling shoes, he created a place where people could buy everything they needed under one roof? What if he built something bigger than just a store? What if he built a mall? Part 2. The birth of an empire. In 1985, Henry Tsai opened SM City North EDSA, the first true supermall in the Philippines. People thought he was crazy. Who's going to drive all the way there just to shop? They asked. Manila already has markets. Why do we need a mall? But Henry understood something others didn't. He wasn't just building a shopping center, he was creating an experience. Air conditioning and tropical heat, movie theaters, restaurants. Everything in one place. For the first time, shopping became entertainment. Families would spend entire days there. Not because they needed to buy things, but because it was the most comfortable place to be. The gamble worked. SM North became so successful that Henry immediately started planning the next mall, and the next, and the next. By the 1992, SM malls were popping up everywhere. Mega Mall, Mall of Asia, Aura, Seaside, each one bigger and more ambitious than the last. But here's where Henry showed his real genius. He didn't just build malls. He bought the land around them. As the malls attracted crowds, the surrounding property values skyrocketed. Henry would then develop that land into condominiums, office buildings, and hotels. It was a cycle of wealth creation that fed itself. Then came the next masterstroke. In the early 2000s, Henry acquired BDO Unibank, which eventually became the largest bank in the Philippines. Think about the synergy. You shop at an SM mall, you get an SM credit card from BDO, you buy a condo built by SM Development Corporation, you take out a mortgage from BDO. Every step of your financial life, the Tsai family was there, quietly collecting. By the time Henry Tsai passed away in 2019, at age 94, he had transformed from a poor immigrant shoe seller into the richest person in the Philippines, with a net worth of $19 billion. But more than the money, he had fundamentally changed how Filipinos lived, shopped, and spent their time. The mall wasn't just a place anymore, it was the center of modern Filipino life. Part 3. The Billionaire Dynasty. Now here's where it gets really interesting. When Henry died, he didn't leave everything to one person. He had 6 children, and he'd been training them for decades to run different parts of the empire. This wasn't a king passing the crown to an heir. This was a strategist dividing his empire among generals. Today, the Tsai siblings, Teresita, Elizabeth, Henry Jr., Hans, Herbert, and Harley, collectively control $13 billion. That's billion with a B. But here's what's crazy. Several of them individually rank in the top 10 richest Filipinos. Henry Tsai Jr. holds 5th place with $2.3 billion. He leads SM Investments Corporation, overseeing the entire conglomerate. Hans Tsai comes in 6th with $2.2 billion, running the banking side through BDO. Herbert Tsai sits at 7th with $2.1 billion, focusing on retail operations. Harley Tsai takes 8th with $1.9 billion, managing mall operations. Teresita Tsai Kosan ranks 9th with $1.9 billion, heading SM Retail. And Elizabeth Tsai rounds out the top 10 with $1.7 billion, Think about that. One family occupies 6 of the top 10 spots on the richest Filipinos list. That's not just wealth, that's dominance. Part 4. The empire today. So what exactly do the Tsai siblings control? Let's break it down, because the scale is almost unbelievable. SM Prime Holdings operates over 80 malls across the Philippines, not just in Manila, but in practically every major city. If you've been to a mall in the Philippines, chances are it was an SM mall. They also own malls in China, making them one of the largest mall operators in the world. BDO Unibank isn't just the biggest bank in the Philippines, it's one of the largest in Southeast Asia, with over 1,400 branches and assets worth over $90 billion. When you deposit money, take out a loan, or use an ATM in the Philippines, there's a good chance the Tsai family profits from it. SM Development Corporation builds residential and commercial properties across the country. Those condo towers you see near SM malls? Yeah, those are theirs too. They're literally shaping the skyline of Manila and other major cities. China Banking Corporation, another bank controlled by the family. Because why have one massive bank when you can have two? And then there's SM Retail, which operates department stores, supermarkets, and specialty stores. The Tsai family doesn't just own the mall, they own many of the stores inside it. Add it all together, and you're looking at a business empire that touches nearly every aspect of Filipino economic life. Shopping? They own it. Banking? They own it. Real estate? They own it. This isn't just a wealthy family, this is a family that controls major sectors of the national economy. Part 5. The controversy nobody talks about. But here's where the story gets complicated, because with this much power comes questions. Big ones. Critics point out that SM malls have been accused of unfair labor practices, employees working long hours for relatively low pay, contractual workers with no job security, and resistance to unionization efforts. There have been protests outside SM malls demanding better wages and working conditions. Then there's the market dominance issue. When one family controls so much retail space, they can essentially dictate terms to smaller businesses that want to operate in their malls. Rent prices, operating hours, revenue sharing. The Tsai family has enormous leverage. Some argue this stifles competition and prevents smaller Filipino businesses from thriving. Environmental concerns have also been raised. The massive scale of SM's construction projects, malls, condos, reclamation projects, has faced criticism for potential environmental impact. The Mall of Asia, built on reclaimed land, sparked debates about coastal development and its long-term effects. And then there's the philosophical question. Is it healthy for one family to control this much of a nation's economy? The Tsai family's wealth is roughly equivalent to 4% of the Philippines' entire GDP. That's an incredible concentration of economic power in the hands of 6 people. But here's the counter-argument. The Tsai family created hundreds of thousands of jobs. They pay billions in taxes. Their malls revitalized entire neighborhoods. They made shopping accessible and affordable for millions of Filipinos. Without SM, where would people shop? Where would they work? Part 6. The next generation. So what's next for the Tsai Empire? The siblings aren't just maintaining what their father built, they're expanding into new frontiers. Digital banking is a major focus. BDO has invested heavily in fintech, mobile banking apps, and cashless payment systems. As the Philippines moves toward a digital economy, the Tsai family is positioning itself to dominate that space too. They're also expanding internationally. SM has opened malls in China, and there are plans for further expansion across Southeast Asia. The goal isn't just to be the biggest in the Philippines, it's to be a major player across the entire region. Sustainability is becoming part of the brand. SM has announced initiatives for green buildings, solar panels on mall rooftops, and waste reduction programs. Whether this is genuine environmental concern or smart PR, it signals that the next generation of Tsai leadership understands that business has to adapt to changing values. Real estate development continues to boom. More condos, more office towers, more mixed-use developments. The Tsai family is literally building the future cities of the Philippines. And then there's the third generation, the grandchildren of Henry Tsai. They're already being groomed to take over eventually. Some are working in different divisions of the company, learning the business from the ground up, just like their parents did. The dynasty isn't ending anytime soon. The uncomfortable truth. Here's what makes the Tsai family story so fascinating and so complicated. It's simultaneously an inspiring rags to riches tale and a case study in extreme wealth concentration. On one hand, you have an immigrant with nothing who built a multi-billion-dollar empire through hard work, vision, and smart business decisions. That's the Filipino dream, the idea that anyone can make it if they work hard enough. Henry Tsai proved it's possible. On the other hand, You have a family that now controls so much economic power that their decisions affect millions of Filipinos. When SM decides to raise rents in their malls, small businesses suffer. When BDO changes lending policies, thousands of people are affected. That level of influence is unprecedented. And here's the question nobody wants to ask. Is this system sustainable? Can a democracy function healthily when one family controls this much economic power? Does the Psy Empire lift the country up by creating jobs and opportunities? Or does it hold the country back by concentrating wealth and stifling competition? The answer isn't simple. It's probably both. The Psy family has undeniably contributed to Philippine economic growth. They've created thousands of jobs, paid billions in taxes, and built infrastructure that serves millions. But they've also accumulated power and wealth at a scale that raises legitimate concerns about inequality and fairness. The legacy. Henry Psy's journey from a 2-year-old immigrant selling vegetables to the richest man in the Philippines is objectively remarkable. He saw opportunities where others saw impossibilities. He took risks when others played it safe. He built an empire that transformed an entire nation's economy and culture. His children have honored that legacy by continuing to grow the business, while also giving back through the SM Foundation, which funds education, healthcare, and disaster relief programs across the Philippines. But legacy is complicated. It's not just about the wealth you accumulate or the businesses you build. It's about the world you leave behind. And that's still being written. So here's the question for you. Do you think dynasties like the Psy family lift countries up by creating jobs and opportunities? Or do they hold countries back by concentrating too much wealth and power in too few hands? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I genuinely want to know what you think about this. Because this isn't just a Philippine story. This is happening all over the world, and the answer matters.